edition of Hearts of Iron 4, brought to you by Commando Gaming, Strategic Gaming, and brought to you live on Twitch.tv and on YouTube. We're continuing our series on Hearts of Iron. This is episode number 2 of our latest Germany playthrough. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? So we've got a... we're picking up in August of 1937, and we're continuing our political efforts to capture as much of Germany, or as much of Europe as we can. So, from right now, we're working on the fate of Czechoslovakia, which will hopefully garnish us all of Czechoslovakia. So, that is what we're working on right now. We're continuing to build up our infrastructure, as you can see here. And our research is continuing along several key items. And we are gearing up for war with lots of troops. So that pretty much gets you caught up on where we are. So let's just progress with time here. As you can see, world tension is already at a really high level. So it'll be interesting to see how much we can get away with before we're engaged in a world war with the Allies. It's not just us, nationalist Spain. The Spanish Civil War causes problems, and of course there's the war in China. Right. We've completed anti-tank, which I think is very useful. I want to make sure we get our airborne paratroopers working. I want to build up a nice force of paratroopers before we go after Poland. I know there's some players who don't like to use paratroopers. I think they're very useful in the right situation, especially when you're trying to capture an enemy capital quickly and it's within transport range of your ship, of your borders. Excuse me. It's a real easy way to increase your abilities. Speaking of that, I should actually we need to build up our capacity for our fighters. So let's get working on that, actually. Don't have to go crazy, but just a little bit of additional capacity for our fighter planes will come in very handy right now. And a couple key sectors. Making sure we can have air superiority when the time comes. So let's make sure we do that. Doesn't have to be a massive amount, and air bases build pretty quickly. So, all right. Shouldn't take too long here. Hopefully, we can get some more territory without having to fight. Ideally, I'd like to get Yugoslavia as well, but it's going to be really hard with world tensions where they are. Thinking about political maneuvering, so let's look at the states where we're actually sponsoring fascism. So Netherlands and Belgium are both on the verge of becoming fascists, which is huge for us. If we can have them as allies, that's going to make our push into France so much easier and faster, which is key. Also, we're promoting fascism in the United States, and that is progressing very slowly. We're at 33%, but before we start engaging in any war, we want to get the United States completely out of the equation and possibly get them as a neutral party or as an ally. So let's see how that goes. Alright, fate of Czechoslovakia. All of Czechoslovakia belongs to us. That is what we are going to do. Alright, so we've secured Czechoslovakia. Alright. Let's see if we could push getting Yugoslavia as well. It's going to be hard given the political tension around the world. Alright, so what that does is immediately gives us yet more factories. It does give us a little bit more resources, which is always good. We need more rubber. Let's get a little bit more rubber before we have a shortage. Manpower is low. Alright, so that's something we're going to have to work on by increasing our manpower capabilities. So we're going to have to work on gonna have to work on increasing our political power so we can go to full mobilization. Okay. Looks like we need to send some troops down to Yugoslavia just to keep, or Czechoslovakia, just to keep things under control. So let's do that real quickly. get some troops down here to provide some security in Czechoslovakia. That should calm things down there. We're going to have our military forces move out and make sure we have Czechoslovakia under lock and key, so that will calm down any rebellions just for right now. We can also probably have enough forces right now that we can actually slow down recruiting. So for right now only, we'll slow down our recruiting. For any units that are ready to deploy, we'll just take out that production queue for right now. I don't want to cancel construction on these advanced units, so we're just really trying to reduce the amount of infantry that we're generating right now, just in the short term, while we get our manpower under control. Let's see if that improves things in Czechoslovakia. Okay, yeah, we're slowly getting an increase in factories, resources, and population. So that's having the garrison troops there is kind of calming things down a little bit. And that also pre-positions them for our attack on Poland. Alright. Messerschmitt BF 110 is a great resource for us. Alright, Let's look at our support companies. These are very undervalued, especially logistics. Let's make sure we get logistics added to all of our companies as quickly as possible. Very important. Alright, Italy's going after Yugoslavia as well. We need to progress our demands as quickly as possible. Oh, and we need to start building our new fighter. Not sure how many will get built immediately. That's a secondary priority. But we do want to get the production line built. Speaking of production, all right, we're slowly building out our infrastructure. We're going to get a nice infusion of military factories pretty soon. Slovenia. Alright, we have to wait a minute for that to go through. Okay, triumph for Germany. Now we can actually go after step 2 of getting Yugoslavia. Hopefully we can push this through. Manpower is continuing to be a problem. We're almost to the point where we can address that. That gave us some extra factories, yep. So, growth continues at a very fast pace. Alright, one thing we can do is we can start working on training some of our key troops. What I want to do is get a lot of our panzers. Where we can do some training. can make our panzers the best panzers the world has ever seen, so we can do some true blitzkrieg operations. So we're going to get all of our mechanized forces together, doing some training. There we go. All right, that will be good. Hopefully we can get Yugoslavia, which has a lot of resources, especially factories, before we have to start engaging in war. Also hoping that we can get some in the Netherlands, which is what we want. Let's keep working on upgrading. Military. And then we also need to work on building some paratroopers. And we're almost to the point where we can address our manpower issues. We just have to get to 150. Believe. Yeah. Once we get to extensive conscription, that'll help us out quite a bit. That will double our capacity for putting troops on the ground. Fate of Yugoslavia. This is key. Can we get Yugoslavia without firing a shot? Or are we going to have to engage in war? See, if, at this point, if I invade, it's probably going to cause a war. So we're just trying to capture Yugoslavia if we can. Italy's already grabbed part of Yugoslavia. Just would like to add that infrastructure if we can. Right, let's keep progressing our Air Force's technological advantage. So close to doubling that manpower. That'll be happening momentarily. Also be working on a couple things. So let's get some things into the building queue. I want to get some radar stations. Even basic radar is a huge advantage right now. So let's get some radar stations in place in critical places. They build really quickly, so it's a great resource for us to put in place. It'll give us a nice advantage in the areas where we're going to engage in our construction, our battles, so to speak. Hopefully we'll get them done in time. We have lots of things in the queue for construction. Alright. Alright, let's increase our conscription to extensive. That should ease some of our manpower concerns. Although we already have a large force militarily, so we don't have to grow too much more. In fact, we should pop in, and we want to reduce some of our infantry pipeline as discussed. So we're going to do that. Okay, so most of our infantry production has been ceased, so we can focus on our more capable or specialized, I shouldn't say more capable, specialized troops. Okay, let's put our airborne where they can be of most use. They're going to help us with the eventual invasion of Poland. Okay. All right, April 1938. We're ahead of schedule. Can we get Yugoslavia here? Behind on my research for radar, so let's get back on track with that. Here we go. This is a moment of truth. Okay, we're going to make them puppets. We don't have quite the political power to take all of Yugoslavia, but that's fine. We'll make them puppets. Okay, let's see how the map looks now. Now, that's probably about as much as we can do militarily right now. We can assert our eastern claims. We could try to do that. We can try to do that. I don't know if we can stay out of war enough for that, but now we have some puppets here, which will give us resources, which is great. I would have liked to have made it completely ours, but I'm fine with having puppets here. That is a useful thing for me to have. And politically, it probably is good for us because it'll avoid the tension going too high. Okay. Yugoslavian Confederation declared war on Latvian Yugoslavia. Okay. Immediately after the government of Prince Paul signed the Tripartite Pact, a group of Yugoslavian Air Force officers executed a well-planned coup that replaced the legitimate government and put the underage Peter II on the throne. Elements of the former government have denounced the coup and declared a national emergency. Since this was clearly the work of foreign agents, they claim they are obligated to defend them. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna let these guys I mean, we could use some training actually, so what if we just core state. Yeah, we need to get these resources back. And we could use some training as well. So let's just quickly form up a force. Give them a commander to get these guys under tow. We're just going to put an end to this little rebellion. Will give us something to do. Okay. Plastic defense. That'll come in handy. Let's get our forces down here so we can get these guys under heel quickly. we've got about a year before the war really needs to kick off. So we're going to keep working on getting these resources under control. We need to put this rebellion down. We gotta wait for this rebellion to... We need 4 more political points so we can get this rebellion under control. Meanwhile, we can use our troops to reinforce the border here, make sure we're not going to have a loss of territory. Our troops will get some experience. Insert Eastern claims. Were we able to... Don't want to do Danzig or war yet, so let's hold off on that. That'll immediately trigger the war. We can build some more factories. That we can do. Set up a defensive perimeter there so we don't use ground while we justify our war effort. Let's look at our construction queue. Working on those civilian and military bases. We'll let those progress. Alright, we got another territory, which is good. More factories for us. Nice little bump in factories, actually. All right, we need to increase our fuel. All right, let's go to our friends in the United States and increase our fuel. Increase our reserve. Make sure we don't have any fuel problems. Basically have a stalemate on that border, especially with our troops there. All right, let's keep adding factories. Yeah, let's do that so we can actually maximize our war economy. We can't grow anymore politically, which is fine. We've achieved a lot of our objectives. Okay, let's start doing some training, actually. Make sure all of our troops are training up. I want to make sure I have a core of very well trained troops for these invasions. So let's get some training done. Not necessarily going to get all of our troops trained, but we might as well get as much as we can trained. Some of our troops are still on garrison duty here, so they're not going to be able to train as much as I would like. But that should help me get a solid core of troops ready for the invasion of Poland. And actually I should be doing some training over here as well. It's going to cost me some resources, but it's going to be worth it over time. Let's get our troops up to speed. going to cost us some resources and some attrition, but it'll be worth it. Gives me about 6 months of training for some of my key units before we start our war with Poland. Alright, our air bases are now being constructed, which is key. Really want to maximize our air power before we kick off this war. Now remember, we don't have to kick it off at the actual time World War II began. That's really up to us depending on how we initiate. I have a couple things I'd like to do before we start that war. So if we start after 1939, it's not a big deal. All right, we have a new ally. All right. Submarine effort. Invite to faction. All right, now we have yet another ally. Very nice. Speaking of that, what's going on in the United States? Let's check that out. Are they heading towards fascism? Yep, very close. If we can keep the United States tied up with its own internal issues, or at least get it to remain neutral, that's huge for us. Oh, actually, we no longer have to promote fascism here. So we can cancel the popularity of fascism there. And how about in Belgium? It's not, they don't have a firm control of the fascists yet, so let's keep providing support. That'll give us some more political will to use for other things, which is good. Right, details. Alright, now we're going to switch to German war economy, which grants consumer goods 20%, military to civilian conversion costs minus 20%, civilian to military factory version minus 20%, adds a bunch of military factories. Okay, this is definitely the next thing we want to do. Definitely changing to a war footing. See how our troop training is going. Right, as you can see, our troops are getting up to a high level, which is great for the invasion of Poland. We are going to hopefully cut through that like butter. also need to start doing some training of our airborne troops. We should have 4 airborne troops. Where's the other 2? Not seeing our other airborne troops. Let's Alright, we have our paratroopers now training as well. Okay, that's good. Look at our production queue. Probably reduce our infantry equipment queue. Reduce our bomber, tactical bomber amount. Reduce that right there, and we can actually start building the heavy fighters. Good. Good, everything's going well. Oh. Except we're short on resources. That is not good. What do we need? More rubber. It's always rubber. Well, good thing we have a friend in the Dutch. Get plenty of rubber. Alright, significant increase in firepower for our mechanized units. That's a plus. Alright, let's keep working on upgrading our firepower. And we're we're going to switch production. It's going to take a while. We're going to have to retool our factories, but this is going to be worth it. Significant increase in firepower. It's going to take us a while to get there. But we have additional factories coming. Okay, so now we can take care of this rebel issue that we have down here. Let's take care of that. Alright, we have to declare war. Put these rebels down. Won't take long. The next enemy capital. But we can modify our government. Let's do that. Already in a war economy. army invasions focus first. Alright. Finish up this petty rebellion here. Good to see that the world isn't coming to help Yugoslavia here. Extra research slot here. Alright, let's reunite our forces. Last push here on Nice here. Hopefully finish these guys off. Alright, let's work on Blitzkrieg, of course. Alright, so now we're allied with Italy as well. Some more resources for us. Alright, Treaty of Nice. Okay, so now there we go. So we've put down this rebellion and we've gained some experienced troops. Actually move them over to where they can help us attack Poland when we're ready. Excellent. Let's look at our troops now. As you can see, a lot of our troops are regular or better. Going to give us a nice advantage when we move forward. So this is probably a good time for us to end this video, since we're about to start World War II, and I want to make sure we are completely ready for that, and I'll do some off-camera work to get ready for that.